and it's just like you see in the movies. But then we looked to the left. My wife says, look to the left, look, you can see it. And you could see debris just going around in a circle, moving at a good pace to the left and going more to the northeast.
Then the hazardous materials team is on the scene of the Canadian Tire on Ogilvie Road, where a propane tank has been leaking and traffic is tied up as a result there.
That's where the weekend from Minneapolis reports
This is what it looked like driving on Carling Avenue at the height of the storm. As you can see, visibility is very poor and road conditions are extremely slick. Police have had their hands full responding to all the damage reports and traffic tie-ups as a result of the rains. And this is how things looked just outside the new RO environment in the Clyde-Merivale area a little while ago. As you can see, very, very heavy rain and strong winds. We've just received word, by the way, a woman on Ogilvie Road watched her shed uprooted and blown into her home. She says a funnel cloud is the cause there. Talk of funnel clouds, let's join weather expert Alyssa Lansdell for more on the storm.
This low pressure system, we are seeing a severe thunderstorm watch and warning for the region, which will be lifted in about an hour. Here's why: that low pressure trough moving, making its way through. You can see the huge amount of cloud cover associated with that. Yes, indeed, that was the same system that brought tornado activity to southwestern Ontario last night. And as a matter of fact, there is still a tornado warning in effect for areas around Belleville. Not in our region, although we still could see some severe weather. The active cell right now is in Belleville, Trenton, and Kingston. Could be heading towards us, although east end of the city is certainly under the effects of that system right now. We have seen as much as 25 millimeters of rain in a short span, 15 minutes time. Wind gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour, 2-centimeter diameter hail. A lot of severe weather associated with this. We have seen the worst of it. However, as I mentioned, we're still under the influence of that system, and that warning will remain in effect for another hour.
Thanks, and we'll of course keep you updated on all the big stories, including the possible collapse of an apartment building in the East End. That's all later on News 6.
Well, heavy weather has slashed through the capital region in the past hour. High winds causing a wide range of damage. Firefighters are evacuating an apartment building in Gloucester, in the area of Blair and Ogilvie at this hour, because of reports of walls beginning to buckle. This hydro pole was knocked down in West End, Ottawa. High winds toppled several hydro poles, especially in the East End. No reports of any injuries. The apartment building which is being evacuated is on Jasmine Crescent in Gloucester. Warnings about heavy weather were issued earlier in the afternoon. JJ Clark, the storm over for the capital now?
Well, here in the west end of Ottawa, most of the severe weather has ended for the evening. We'll still have a few more scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm, but we're maintaining a severe thunderstorm warning if you draw a line from downtown Ottawa to downtown Kingston, everything east. So along the Seaway and along the lower portion of the river, Stormont, Dundas, Glengarry, and also, of course, for South Lanark, you could still see a severe thunderstorm. And again, as you have just mentioned, Max, some of these thunderstorms contain wind gusts of almost 100 kilometers per hour. We've got reports of pea-size and now grape-size hail as well east of the city, and the warning will remain in effect until at least 7:15 tonight.
And one warning about potential for tornado?
There was a tornado warning issued for Belleville at 5:15 this afternoon. That was not based on a confirmed sighting, but rather on radar data as observed here in Ottawa from the CARP radar site. Environmentalists had a look at it and said, we've got all the ingredients for a cake here, and perhaps that cake will end up baking. So it may not necessarily have been a tornado, but they wanted to be on the safe side in case it did develop into one.
Okay, thanks, Jack.
Right, sir.
Boy, it was like hold on to your hat this afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very heavy weather. We got a wind gust at 92 kilometers per hour at the Ottawa airport, and by the way, the wind's even stronger along the Seaway throughout the early afternoon when this system started to really brew and cook.
Isn't this like the kind of summer storms you get?
It's exactly what it is. This is a product of daytime heating and a lot of instability. We have a big area of low pressure way up north. We've got all this moisture in the air, and we were talking about the ingredients for baking a cake. Well, we're doing some cooking this afternoon with the air mass, and you get some convection going and that hot air rising. Moisture condenses very quickly, and it's got to come down exactly the same way. This is when we form severe weather. So yes, Max, very much like a summertime weather pattern. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for at least the next hour or so in areas primarily south and east of Ottawa. Our temperature at the moment, with the rain and the burst that we had that didn't last all that long here in the city and is now continuing to push to the east, is cooled to 19 degrees. The winds are still gusting at 30 kilometers per hour. And at the moment, skies above are mostly cloudy.
JJ's Weather is brought to you by the Ontario Toyota Dealers Red Tag Sales Event. On now.
Well, as we have a look at our satellite picture, you'll be able to see that area of low pressure that we were talking about in one of the troughs that hooks down into our region. In other words, the trough is just like a big long spoke, and the center of the wheel, the hub, is the area of low pressure, and these troughs rotate around the center of the wheel as the spokes would around a wheel. So in they come, and they come with some impressive fury as well, as we saw this afternoon. Let's move into eastern Ontario, western Quebec, and northern New York. Some areas continue to see that into the evening hours. As we mentioned, this is a summertime pattern. The good news about severe thunderstorms is the fact that they diminish usually after sunset, and they don't get nearly so much heat or so much energy, and so they are of a less intense variety after dark. And overnight tonight, we think they're going to completely die out. The sky should at least partially clear. We'll show you it from a different perspective. That area of low pressure continuing to churn around just south of James Bay. Its associated troughs and frontal zones. And we'll bring you up to date for those of you south and east of Ottawa still involved with this heavy burst of energy. Our latest radar loop. This will show you what has been going on for the last 6 hours, updated just a few moments ago. Any areas where you see red or yellow or dark green, as you can see by the legend, these are areas that are particularly heavy. We have some very, very strong winds. We have hail reported from just little granular pea-size hail to grapefruit, not grapefruit, but grape-size hail, and that has been primarily east of Ottawa and along the Seaway. So this activity is expected to last for about another hour or so. So the heavy, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for areas south and east of Ottawa until at least 7:15 tonight. There will most likely still be some lingering storms, but again, pretty much not as heavy as they have been. Now, the temperatures across Canada, while it was stormy here, it was certainly warm, and Toronto and Ottawa, two of the warmest places checking in.
The activity now pushing off to the east, the north and east, and these cells here along the St. Lawrence, Kingston looks like they took a direct hit from this storm, are weakening as we speak as they approach the St. Lawrence. That's the good news. Now, the only thing we have to watch is one little system up to the north and west here. I would say probably just, this is the close-up view here. We had the rain last night, the sun came out, helped to destabilize the atmosphere, and then here come those thunderstorms. But as we move off here, it looks pretty good to the west.
A freak spring storm that was over almost as fast as it started, but only after causing possibly millions of dollars in damage, most of it in the East End. A car wash loses its roof at the corner of Cummings Avenue and Ogilvie Road. The roof landing about 3 doors down on the property of another business. Thankfully, no one was hurt. And now we go to Jasmine Crescent. On this street, just east of Blair Road, witnesses say they saw funnel clouds, and Environment Canada now confirms a tornado did touch down in that area. Nonetheless, winds approaching 90 kilometers an hour caused considerable damage. The roof of this 4-story condo was ripped right off. Roofs were the main casualties of the wind. A Sunwood Crescent man getting the fright of his life when the roof tore off his Gloucester home shortly after he walked out the door. Debris flying into neighboring yards causing further damage. Some other amazing stories coming from the storm. A woman apparently picked up and thrown about 15 meters, but not seriously hurt, and a pickup truck lifted right off the ground. Even more frightening, a propane tank at a Canadian Tire damaged by the winds and causing flammable gas to spew into the air. Emergency crews were forced to evacuate the area and reroute traffic away from the busy intersection right at the height of afternoon rush hour. The store's outdoor garden also seriously damaged during the storm. As the storm headed east, high winds began to uproot and bring down trees in Orleans and Cumberland. In the same location, golf ball-sized hail began falling from the skies. Even further east, Rockland residents say they saw a tornado touch down in their community. Let's go live now to the East End, where the New RL's Mike Edgell has the latest on cleanup efforts. Mike.
Cindy, one thing is for sure, there is still a lot to clean up, and insurance companies are extremely busy this morning, especially in the East End neighborhood of Ogilvie and Cummings.
Right on top of the roof of the building. As you can see, probably 95% of it is gone right now. Most of it's on the ground, and some of it's as far as 3 or 4 doors down there, a section of about 15 by 15 feet. Now we're shut down probably for a good week. We've lost electrical power, and the car wash can't run right now the way it is, so we're losing customers basically day by day.
And what will this cost now?
If they want to go back to a peaked roof, they're looking at about 18,000. I'm going to try and talk them into putting a flat roof on it, about 15.
Why a flat roof?
Stands up to the winds better.
The front is all dent. I need a new hood, a new fender, and a new windshield, and probably a part of the front end also.
So how do you explain that to your insurance company?
I don't know. I haven't called them yet. And it's not even insured.
They must have just lifted and just fell like this, part of it, broke the tree. Some of it went over to the guy next door. All the railing on the deck is gone. Squished the barbecue.
Are you covered for this?
Yes, we have insurance. We're just waiting. He's supposed to be here in half an hour. Destroyed all the back there. The big pieces fell all over. Went through that fence. Well, you can see that it went right through the wall. I don't know why the window didn't break. That's a miracle.
And many others are in the same circumstance as Colette this morning, waiting for their insurance reps to give them the total estimates on how much damage there is. There's still a lot of manual labor to get rid of a lot of this debris. Cindy.
All right, thank you.